This week on The Record, Illinois decides. Juliana Stratton and Don Tracy will face off in a race for a seat in the U.S. Senate in November. They both join us on The Record. Plus, long shot. Can a Democrat flip the deepest red Republican seat in Congress? Jennifer Todd joins us on The Record in her run against incumbent Mary Miller. It's all coming up right now. Welcome to The Record. I'm Mark Maxwell. The stage is set for November's election in Illinois. Democrats and Republicans picked their nominees in Tuesday night's primary contest. In that race, the candidates with the most money and the most experience finished second and third. Raja Krishnamurthy and Robin Kelly falling to Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. She joins us now on The Record. Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton, congratulations on your primary win. What got it done? How'd you get over the finish line?
Well, thank you so much. And we got it done by listening to voters in every corner of our state and making sure that we didn't tell voters what they need to care about, but listen to voters. And I heard them loud and clear that they were looking for someone to fight for them in Washington. I heard their frustration with the status quo. And they heard that I'm going to be the fighter that they're looking for to really make sure that we do the things that they want, raise wages, make sure that they have access to health care, and keep the needs of the people right at the center of everything I do.
How realistic is a proposal like a $25 federal minimum wage? That sounds like it would spark a debate within the Democratic Party, let alone within the Senate.
Well, what I've heard is that people aren't looking for us to just think about what the small things are. People want us to think big about how to make sure that we do more to help people take care of their families. Look, here in Illinois, the first big bill that Governor Pritzker and I got signed into law was raising the minimum wage here in Illinois from $8.25 to $15 an hour. But we didn't do so without including the voices of the business community, small business leaders in general, and we made incremental changes over time. But we got there because we knew we needed to help people to take care of their families and not just barely make ends meet. We have too many people at the federal level that are making $7.25 an hour. That's not enough. In fact, $15 an hour is $31,200 a year. Let's focus on a livable wage, bring people to the table, and then work on what kind of plan to increase that over time so that people can get to a place where they are making a livable wage.
Were you surprised to see AIPAC celebrate your primary victory?
Well, I mean, I don't know. I mean, what I was focused on more so was how the outside spending that took place in Illinois in general. We saw so many races. I mean, my own race, we saw, I think someone said I was the #1 target of the crypto industry super PAC. So I think there was a lot of outside spending. It's why I'm focused on making sure that we bring real campaign finance reform. This is something that I've talked about throughout my entire campaign. It's why I was endorsed by End Citizens United. I'm going to fight to get corporate PAC money out of politics. I'm going to fight to end Citizens United and make sure that we put a ban on congressional stock trading. And it's really needed because we saw the real influence in this cycle.
Corporations, or at the very least their executives, often make contributions to AIPAC. AIPAC then turns around and donates money to candidates. Do you hope to win AIPAC's support in this general election?
I have not done it and received any money from the PAC. I don't see that happening in the future. They didn't get involved in this race, but there were lots of different races where we saw the influence, certainly crypto and other influences. And so I'm going to keep working on campaign finance reform.
How closely are you watching America's foreign entanglement in Iran and the resulting increase in gas prices?
Well, I'm watching it closely. I've heard about it and listened to voters talk about the real desire to not see us dragged into another forever war. I heard it from voters all across the state. We have a president who, makes decisions on a whim. It's not always based on what's in the best interest of the American people. And he does so without any plan, without any foresight, without any, understanding for the American people of why he's doing it. And this is what we're seeing right now. And so I've made it clear I would not support any supplemental funding for this war. It's not a war that we've heard any justification for, and I certainly don't see any justification for additional supplemental funding.
That's an interesting way you phrase that, because you're talking about the purse strings that the control Congress has over funding and paying for weapons. There's also, the Constitution clearly says that it's Congress that has the authority to declare war. Do you think the Congress needs to make any affirmative statement that would actually restrain a president's power in these foreign military entanglements? Or do you think that some executive, maybe a Democratic president in the future, should have some of that jurisdictional leeway in an emergency?
Well, first of all, let's talk about emergency and talk about this president who, again, we wake up in the middle of the night or we wake up in the morning and the American people see that the president posts on social media at 2 in the morning about an act of war. I mean, I think this is a situation where we saw Congress has really failed to rein in this president, and we need to make sure that we have the checks and balances that are needed, the authorization that it's required by Congress. This is something that this is our power of the purse is in the power of the Congress right now, and we need to make sure that we are taking control of that.
So you think that voters deserve to hear you and Don Tracy debate each other?
Sure. I believe that voters should have an opportunity to hear from the people who want to represent them, certainly in the United States Senate, and hear from us about what we want to do to make their lives better. I've made that position very clear over these last 11 months of what I want to do, and I look forward to continuing to demonstrate how I'm going to stand up to Donald Trump. I don't believe that my opponent will do so.
All right, she's the Democratic nominee for the U.S. Senate in Illinois, Juliana Stratton. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Her Republican rival gears up for a tough race in a blue state. Don Tracy joins us next. Illinois Republicans face a steep uphill climb from now till November. Just look at that primary turnout result number and compare it to where they were just 4 years ago. It's a 25% drop off from the race they ran then, where Democrats saw a 45% increase in primary voter turnout. The dismal turnout led the Chicago Tribune's editorial board to write, Illinois Republicans aren't just losing, they're disappearing. Other national publications wrote in a similar manner that seemed to overlook the November election entirely. Illinois Republican nominee for the U.S. Senate, Don Tracy, is now on the record. Congratulations on your primary win. I want to ask you for your first reaction to some headlines from Politico on Thursday morning. Quote, Pritzker helped a black woman become senator. From the New York Times, a kicker paragraph toward the bottom of one article about your victory. Quote, Mr. Tracy is unlikely to provide more than a token opposition given the state's Democratic tilt and Mr. Trump's deep unpopularity there. Have these new national news papers forgotten there's an election on November 3rd?
I guess so. There's no doubt that I'm the underdog in this election, but we did win in 2014, and the last time there was an open U.S. Senate seat was 2010, and I was running for lieutenant governor at that time, and on the trail with Senator Mark Kirk, who is a friend of mine and has endorsed me in this race and providing advice, and so I wouldn't be doing this if I didn't have a shot. But I recognize it is an underdog victory. But, Ms. Stratton herself was the underdog in her race, and she won. There were a lot of underdogs, in fact, that defeated in Illinois a better financed opponent.
I think you do raise a point that a powerful message that connects with the voters can overcome a billionaire's bankroll. So I wonder what you think that message is. I'll raise the point of former Senator Kirk, but also of another Republican who more recently connected with the Illinois electorate, and that was Bruce Rauner. Neither one of them were big fans or cheerleaders of Donald Trump. Will you be?
And my plan is to run an issue-oriented campaign and tackle each issue on its own and not run a personality campaign. And there are many issues to run on, but I just hope it's a high-level issue campaign and not just Ms. Stratton dropping F-bombs here and there.
So then let's pivot away from F-bombs and let's talk about actual bombs. Should the American military be involved in Iran?
Yes. Every president, I think, on both sides of the aisle for the last 40 years has said we cannot allow a rogue Iranian terrorist regime to have a nuclear bomb. And the Presidents Biden and Obama, they worked to keep Iran from going nuclear and potentially destroying the world. But their policy was appeasement.
But of course, they didn't invade or drop bombs in that country and cause the seize of oil supply. You have previously made prices and affordability a key plank of your campaign. What effect, I mean, I don't even know if it's a question, I think it's an established fact, the effect that the early stage of this military conflict has had on our gas prices. How difficult is it going to be for you to explain that price increase to voters as you ask them to support you?
You're right. I mean, affordability, as the Democrats call it, or the cost of living, is the biggest issue in this race long term. In the short term, we are in a major conflict with Iran, and we need to win it. The president said going in that he thought this would be a 4 or 5 week war, and there have been several of those in the Mideast involving Israel, of course, and Israel's very involved in this one. And if it is a short conflict of 4 or 5 weeks, the gas prices and oil prices will go back down where they should be, and perhaps even lower than before.
I wonder, do you hope to gain the support of AIPAC in this race?
I do, and I know some of the AIPAC individuals in the Chicago area, and I do. I can't imagine that their fondness for Juliana Stratton will stay with them when they find out her real positions. I mean, I think that might have been a reaction to the fact that one of her opponents in that primary was going for the Hamas vote. So she's considered the lesser of evils, I expect. But I support Israeli in this war. I support what we're doing in Iran, at least to the point of eliminating the nuclear threat.
The federal minimum wage is $7.25 an hour right now. What should it be?
No, I don't think the federal government should be really involved in setting any kind of, national minimum wage. I mean, it's such a big and diverse country. I mean, if you're going to have a minimum wage, it should be, more of a local aid.
Are you saying that you roll back the federal minimum wage?
No, what I am saying, Mark, is that I don't, and it is extremely low, what we have for a national minimum wage, but I just don't think that the minimum wage should be controlled out of Washington. If we're going to have a minimum wage, it ought to be local. It ought to be state by state, and within a state, it should be regional.
So just trust corporations to be compassionate.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the minimum wage should be a local responsibility, which will vary tremendously from state to state and even regions within a state. It shouldn't be one size fits all dictated out of Washington. I mean, that's what Democrats like to do. They want, because it's easier, I guess, to maybe to advance a minority agenda. If you have control of just one place in the country, they want everything controlled out of Washington. And Republicans, we're more in, we support local control.
She's running in one of the deepest red districts in Illinois. Jennifer Todd joins us on the record next. Welcome back. Congresswoman Mary Miller coasted to an easy win Tuesday night, securing her nomination to represent Illinois' 15th congressional district once more. It's the deepest red, most rural district anywhere in Illinois. It includes portions of Madison, Bond, Montgomery, Calhoun, and Jersey counties in the Metro East, an expanding area. 87,000 Republicans cast a primary ballot in that district Tuesday night. Only 29,000 pulled a Democratic ballot. Jennifer Todd emerged the winner of that contest, and she joins us now in studio on the record. Good to have you with us.
Thank you.
I want to put this question to you in terms that is fair to you as a candidate, but also one that respects the intelligence of our voters. For a district this red that voted for Donald Trump by 40 points, for you to win, for a Democrat to win in this district would be the biggest political shock since what?
Ever. It's just going to be huge because it's been so red that never had a fighting chance.
I respect an answer like that, so I want to ask it a different way.
Okay.
What would it take if you don't win in November? What would a successful campaign look like? What do you need to accomplish to prove that this all was worth doing?
That there are people that are Democrats in this district. That we have power, and that we're starting to see our power again, and that we can move forward, and we have to have options. And that's how I started all this, is giving everybody an option.
You've been critical of Mary Miller for voting to cut Medicaid and SNAP.
Yes.
But you've also said that you've relied on both programs personally. Here's my question. When you go to a farmer in Effingham County or Crawford County or somewhere in Illinois where they think, these are entitlements, government dependency, how do you make the case to them without losing them in the first 30 seconds?
That you have to realize where the people are, and you have to understand what their situation is. That a lot of people are there because they're disabled, and that they've just lost their job, and we have to be able to help them get through that time period to be able to work things better and to be able to get off the program.
There's also the political question, and I don't know if it's fair to put all this on you, but the National Democratic Party is losing rural America by historic margins in recent years. President Biden lost this district, like we said, by about 40 points. So if I put this to you plainly, I wonder, does the Democratic Party label help or hurt you in Illinois 15? And if it hurts you, why are you running under it?
I believe it helps because we as a Democratic Party we're there to help with the people. And we understand the struggle, and that we're seeing more and more of that struggle now. And we have to be able to help relate and get people out of that struggle.
You're a nurse.
Yes.
You've worked in schools and hospitals. Rural hospital closures are accelerating across central Illinois and across a lot of rural America. But a freshman member of Congress, would you be elected from the minority party, if the Democrats don't retake the gavel, you would have very limited power to do much about any of that. So I'll ask the specific question this way. What bill do you introduce on day one, and can you get a single Republican co-sponsor?
We have to repeal the Medicare and Medicaid cuts from the big, beautiful bill that was signed in July. We have to get that taken care of.
But rural hospital closures have been going on long before that bill was signed.
Right, but we have to restructure and have better payment systems that will be able to keep them open. In this district alone, there's 25% of the population is on some form of Medicaid. And to be able to lose that healthcare system, we're also going to be losing jobs.
Would you vote for universal health care?
Yes.
All right, last question for you. On immigration, you've talked about healthcare, education, and veterans, but in a district after district in rural America, voters are telling pollsters and telling the public that the border is their number one issue in 2024. Where do you stand on border security, and can you say it in a way that a Republican farmer in Shelby County might actually agree with?
We still have to have secure borders. No matter what, we still have to have secure borders. And we have to be able to have a new immigration system. It's broken. And it has to be redefined, refixed. We need to be able to funnel more money into the system. Especially we need more immigration attorneys, more immigration judges, because it shouldn't take 20 years to become a citizen.
All right. Jennifer Todd, I hope to see you out there on the campaign trail. I know it's a big, diverse, long district, wide district. Good luck out there.
Thank you.
All right, we're back in a moment. Before we go, two things were entered into the record this week you're going to want to know about. One in Congress, the other in court. So let's check the record. Delays in FEMA aid could come to an end if President Trump's next pick to lead the agency is confirmed. Under oath, Senator Mark Mullen pledged to revoke a Department of Homeland Security policy put in place by outgoing Secretary Kristi Noem that resulted in long delays on approving big contracts or grants to disaster-struck areas. Mullen said Noem was micromanaging disaster relief and recovery projects. The senator from Oklahoma has long represented Tornado Alley and could potentially bring that crucial perspective to the very challenges St. Louis still faces in the aftermath of last May's devastating twister. And in court, 8 states are suing to block a massive media merger, or a broadcast behemoth in their words. Full disclosure, I work for one of the 2 companies involved in that deal. Illinois Attorney General Kwame Raoul joined 7 other states in federal court Wednesday. His lawsuit asks a judge to block the proposed merger of Nexstar and Tegna. That's the company that owns KSDK. The states argue the $6.2 billion deal would hand one company control of 256 TV stations. Combined, they would reach 80% of American homes, giving one company the power, the states argue, to raise cable prices and shrink local newsrooms. Executives at both companies have argued the merger would help broadcast TV newsrooms better compete with big tech, social media, and streaming services. President Trump weighed in, endorsing the deal, calling it a good deal that, in his words, quote, will help knock out the fake news. He went further, calling the merger competition against what he called, quote, the fake news national TV networks. FCC Chairman Brendan Carr also signaled his support, writing, quote, let's get it done. St. Louis is among the local news markets cited in that legal complaint. The case will now go before a federal judge in Sacramento. That's all of our show. Until next time, we're off the record.